Dear colleagues, good morning. Today is January 19th, Tuesday, and we start our work. And I invite to the microphone Lieutenant Colonel, and later we will have Colonel Zadubinnyi via Skype. Good morning. Dear journalists, happy to see you at our briefing. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine continues the radical reforming of the armed forces of Ukraine to modernize the Ukrainian army. Among the main directions of this work, there are changed approaches to strengthen the army and continuous transfer to the NATO standards to ensure carrying out the military reform. In 2016, the Minister of Defense had approved the military concept of Ukraine and the strategy for national security of Ukraine and formulated the military doctrine of Ukraine. Currently, the government reviews concept for the security sector development of Ukraine, strategic defense bulletin of Ukraine, state target defense program for the development of weapons and military equipment. All these documents will compile the military doctrine of Ukraine and contribute to strengthening the national defense of Ukraine. These documents take into consideration recommendations of the international experts aimed at reforming the Ministry of Defense and Armed Forces of Ukraine. They are aimed at strengthening structure, balanced and with the objectives and tasks to be carried out by the armed forces. Thus, in 2015, the Armed Forces of Ukraine implemented 65 standards, and for the next 3 years, it has to implement 70 more standards. In order to strengthen the defense capacity, the Ministry of Defense initiated new administrative and strategic division of the Ukrainian territory. Thus, 15 new brigades were added to the armed forces. Also, the reforming of the mobilization training has been reformed. Also, during the last year, on the framework of reforming the general staff, the armed forces commandment, operative and Air Force commandments were reformed. Also, the air mobile forces are now undergoing the reforming process. The commandment also carries out active reforming of the military marine forces. Taking into consideration the experience gained during anti-terrorist operations, the new training program closed to the NATO standards had been being implemented in the military forces. Thus, in 2014, some 650 trainings in Ukraine and beyond Ukraine, and more than 225 operational exercises were held. Also, the military, the medical training for the needs of the armed forces is being reformed. Thus, 7 medical departments for emergency situations, and military and paramedicine were established. More than 12 another institutions held in such retraining and upgrading courses for reserve officers. And some 9 courses for the surgeons corps were established. In line with the military budget for 2016, the allocations for development of military equipment and weapons, some 7 billion, 105 million hryvnia were allocated. This is 4 times higher than for the year 2014 and 8 times higher than in 2013. Thus, in 2015, the state defense bodies had purchased more than 4,700 units of weaponry and military and equipment, and 400 missiles and shells. Also, the state budget provides that during this year, 2016, new tanks and modernized aircraft will come to the Ukrainian armed forces. Also, the repair and overhaul brigades of the Defense Ministry continues to restore the military weaponry damaged during combat activities. Thus, they have repaired more than 35,300 units of the military machinery and equipment which participated in the ATO activities. The Ministry of Defense ordered this repair for the amount of 5,907 million hryvnia. Besides that, the experts had supervised the quality of repair and overhaul carried out by Ukroboronprom and amounting to more than 2 billion of hryvnia. The quality of research carried out for at the amount of 550 million hryvnia, and the fulfillment of contracts amounting to 117 million of hryvnia. That's it, and with this I would like to give the floor to Colonel Andriy Zadubinnyi, who will inform you about the situation in ATO zone. Good morning, Andriy. Good morning. We are listening to your information in the ATO area. Please do not speak very quickly. Despite the Minsk agreements about full ceasefire and quietness in the ATO area, the situation remains unquiet. The most complicated situation on January 16th was near Marinka, where the fire was opened from 82 millimeter and 120 mortars. Besides this, the small arms and grenade launchers were used. Near Golenka, the militants opened fire from small arms and big caliber machine guns shelling our positions near Mayorsk and Novorodsk. Also, the shells near Donetsk airfield did not stop. The occupants systemically shells Ukrainians soldiers near Opytne-Pisk, Avdiivka. Near Lugansk, also the big caliber machine guns and armed vehicles worked. Near Mariupol, they shelled our positions from 120 and 82 millimeter near mortars near Vodene. Also, they violated ceasefire regime near Lugansk. Hizbenka was shelled from grenade launchers and machine guns. To prevent the losses from in the personnel and local population, our servicemen had to open response fire from the loud equipment, and after this the militants stopped shelling. Also on January 17, the terrorist band continues fire provocations in dark time of the day. The biggest number of shellings was near Donetsk airfield, Pisky Opatna. Also on other locations along the contact line near Mariupol, our positions were shelled near Starognativka. Around 16 they more actively tried to shell our positions near Mariupol, thus near Talakiv, in particular near Talakivka. Also, they used grenade launchers and small arms near Novgorodsk and in Donetsk direction. Nevertheless, ATO forces preserved the full quietness regime and do not subject to the provocation of militants. On January 18, the situation remained unquiet. The militants continued to shell our positions. The most intensive were activities near Gorlevka. Also, they shelled our positions near Mayorsk, Zaitsev, and Novgorodsk. Near Mariupol, they shelled our positions near Starognativka. Also, they used mortars near Lebedinska, shelling our positions, and not far from Vodene, where they used 120 millimeter mortars. In Donetsk direction, they used grenade launchers and big caliber machine guns. This happened near Opatnepiske and Dutivka. Also, the militants continues to shell our positions. On January 19th, they shelled our positions near Mariinka, Pisky, Avdiivka, and Butovka mine near Mariupol. The situation again became unquiet near Shirokina. The militant shells our positions from mortars and grenade launchers. During the last 24 hours, they held 47 shelling positions. In general, during January 16, 17, and 18, the militants violated ceasefire regime 171 times. Currently, the situation is completely controlled by the ATO forces. We open fire only in response when there is a direct threat to the life and health of local residents and the personnel of Ukrainian armed forces. Despite these efforts, we see that the militants continue their provocations. One more example of this was the shelling of OSC mission in Mariinka, and increasing number of shells aimed to provoke Ukrainian forces and blame them in shells. Despite this, Ukrainian armed forces continue to provide assistance to local residents. A group of military and civil cooperation acting in the hostility area jointly with Chasnadi volunteer organization supplied the orphanage boarding school in Счастье with humanitarian aid with food, books, warm clothes, etc., medicines. Also, the local civil activists discussed the most the most important issues of the volunteer work. Thank you, Andriy. Thank you, Oleksiy, for your presentation, and see you on Friday. Thank you. Dear colleagues, our next briefing will be at 11:30.